Walt Disney Pictures released Tron in the USA in July of 1982 and later that year in October in the UK. Produced on a budget of $17 million, it only returned a modest $33 million at the box office and was deemed a disappointing result by Disney, who pretty much wrote off the $17 million production costs. Tron was the brainchild of animator Steven Lisberger. His animation company had produced commercials using a character called Tron, short for electronic, and Steven wanted to produce a feature-length project featuring this character. Steven had directed the animated film The Animal Olympics, starring the voice of Billy Crystal. After Tron, he went on to direct Hot Pursuits, starring John Cusack, and the little-known Slipstream, starring Luke Skywalker himself, Mark Hamill. Unfortunately, these weren't commercially successful, and that was the end of Steven's directing career, but Tron will always be his biggest legacy. Jeff Bridges stars as the WizKid games programmer Kevin Flynn, who's on a mission to regain his reputation after the theft of his video game designs, and he also plays his program counterpart, Clue. Jeff's career took off with the likes of The Last Picture Show in 1971 and Starman, but Jeff's probably best known for his character The Dude in the Coen Brothers' The Big Lebowski, and he also helped launch the MCU in Iron Man in 2009. Jeff reprised his role for the sequel Tron Legacy in 2010. Bruce Boxleitner plays Encom computer programmer Alan Bradley, and Tron a security program and the titled hero of the movie. Bruce starred in the TV series The Scarecrow and Mrs. King, and went on to star in the 90s TV sci-fi series Babylon 5. Bruce returned, albeit briefly, in Tron Legacy, and also the animated series Tron Uprising. Cindy Morgan plays Flynn's ex-girlfriend Laura and the program Yori. She's working on a big project for Encom in the form of a particle transmitter. She agrees to help Flynn clear his name. Cindy starred in Caddyshack opposite Bill Murray and Chevy Chase in 1980 and used her voice talent in the PC game Tron 2.0, but surprisingly never returned for her role in Tron Legacy. British acting great David Warner stars as Ed Dillinger, the corrupt CEO of Encom and the program Sark, the henchman for the Master Control program. David is also uncredited for the voice of the Maleficent MCP. David has had a very successful career playing great characters such as Evil in Time Bandits in 1981 and Jack the Ripper in Nicholas Meyer's Time After Time in 1979. He also has been a popular choice for Star Trek, starring both Star Trek 5 and 6, and in various TV episodes across the franchise. Supporting acts come from Dan Shaw, who plays Ram, and his real-world counterpart, who's just the guy that asks for popcorn from Alan.
Hey, Alan? You think I could have some of your popcorn?
Yeah, sure.
Everyone's favourite granddad, Bernard Hughes, plays Dr. Walter Gibbs, the founder of Encom, and he also plays the Tower Guardian. Bernard later played the grumpy but cool grandpa in Joel Schumacher's Lost Boys in 1987.
One thing about living in Santa Carla I never could stomach. All the damn vampires.
The movie's score was composed by Wendy Carlos, who had provided the classic theme to Stanley Kubrick's The Shining and also A Clockwork Orange. Wendy was very successful with her electronic scores, and I adore this score. There are a few cues that are a bit heavy and overly dramatic, and sound similar to 80s Doctor Who, but it's a fine work and memorable for the movie. It's a mix of electronic score fused with orchestral cues provided by the Philharmonic Orchestra and the UCLA Choir, and features the organ from the Royal Albert Hall, which gives elements of almost a religious feel, but I'll return to that later. Steven got the green light from Disney when they were struggling to get a foothold in live-action movies. They had several fails along the way, including The Black Hole in 1979 and of course Condor Man from 1981. The results of Tron's poor box office led to the creation of Touchstone Pictures, a production company which allowed Disney to produce movies that didn't fit the Disney kid-friendly image, starting with Splash in 1984. Disney were very hopeful Tron would be successful, and despite its meagre success, the movie has gone on to be a cultural icon and has appeared in lots of references across all forms of media. Tron uses the tested story trope of what I like to call through the looking glass, or down the rabbit hole formula, where an individual is transported to another world, place, reality or time, and interacts with other versions of friends or relatives from the real world. See Back to the Future, The Wizard of Oz or Alice in Wonderland. They then return home all the better for the experience. This is where Tron has a huge similarities to The Wizard of Oz, and this style was recently used in Ready Player One, albeit in a slightly different form. Before Tron was released, there was a huge video marketing campaign, as whenever I rented a new video at home with my mates, the trailer would play before the movie. We were understandably excited as it was a great trailer and got us really pumped to see the film. However, when I went to see Tron on release, I was underwhelmed. I thought the best bits were all in the trailer, even though the visuals are stunning and unique. On the big screen I found it difficult to take it all in. The light cycle and disc battles did stand out, but it needed more of these action sequences. The pacing was slow, and as a 10-year-old I didn't really understand the tech speak. I know at the time home computing and video games had become huge, but we weren't all budding game programmers. I was more of a gamer.
Hey, Flynn, how'd you do it?
I kinda wrote the movie off and didn't see it again for at least 20 years, and I didn't buy into the toy line from Tomy at the time. But we really did enjoy the arcade game by Bally Midway. I think it's fair to say the idea of Tron was fantastic, but the games were even better and very exciting, and proved more financially successful than the movie. Tron did find its audience on home video when released, which helped boost its popularity, and boosted its take by $17 million in rentals. Tron is always remembered for being the first CGI enhanced movie, and pushed the technology at the time. However, a huge chunk was done with old school techniques, and when I rediscovered the movie again, I was blown away to discover that the movie was filmed in black and white, and a long process of backlit animation and layers of composites were used to create the digital world. The actors all wore white costumes with drawn-on circuits, and worked on empty black sets, much like green screen works today. Many matte paintings were used, and the level of detail is mind-boggling. I never really give it the attention it deserved. The keen eye would have noticed Pac-Man make an appearance too, and I must say the CGI easily blended with traditional methods to produce a seamless effect. The whole world was helped by the amazing talents of conceptual artist Sid Mead, who did the amazing work on Blade Runner and has had a huge part in creating cinema's vision of the future. It's amazing how much of a visionary Steven Lisberger was with his view on the digital world.
Every one of us is in that computer somewhere, whether it's because of our driver's license or social security or income tax, but the fact is that there is an alternate person that is an electrical person that is forming inside this electrical dimension. And then the question is, are you in control of that information or somebody else in control of it?
It is so true of today's culture with social media, and definitely makes Tron very relevant today. I now enjoy Tron very much despite its flaws, and I definitely recommend the 2011 Blu-ray. It is stunning and one of the best transfers I've watched. The movie looks amazing, and its transfer was overseen by Steven Lisberger, and you can really see his touch on it. I now see the story very differently from when I was a kid. I can see the religious themes of a messiah saving a people from a tyrannical dictator, and similarly the David and Goliath connection near the end. I really enjoy the soundtrack, and I still find certain elements surreal, especially Burner's Tower Guardian, and the final version of the NCP is very trippy. Tron isn't really the hero of the film. It could easily have been called Flynn, and I believe this is where the problem lies, with this and its sequel. This is possibly why the arcade games were so successful. You get pure Tron action. Now, Tron has had a huge impact on pop culture. In 2008, it was nominated by the American Film Institute to be considered as one of the most important sci-fi movies of all time. And president of Pixar, John Lasseter, has said, "Without Tron, there would have been no Pixar movies." Tron spawned some copycats, notably Automan, the short-lived TV series from 1983, which even had its own version of Bit in the character of Cursor. This was produced by Donald Kershaw, who produced Tron as well, so I'm guessing it wasn't a total rip-off. There have been several video games. The one that stands out is Tron 2.0 from 2004, which follows Alan Bradley's son Jet as he looks for his father who's gone missing on the grid, and Sid Mead provided new designs for the life cycle for the game. The plot is similar to the sequel Tron Legacy. Many believe the game to be better than that sequel. I'll come back to Tron Legacy another time, but just to say that it suffered with most of the same problems as the original. It did have a great soundtrack by Daft Punk and absolutely stunning visuals. And despite a decent box office, it looks as if we'll never see a sequel to that movie, as Tron 3 was shelved some years ago. There was talk of Jared Leto doing a reboot, but that's all gone quiet. Although I don't think we will never see Tron again, maybe in another form. The property has too much of a big following to ignore. Until then, we still have where it all started, the 1982 movie. So, greetings programs, and thank you for watching.
Please, you realize I can't allow this.
Now, how are you going to run the universe if you can't even answer a few unsolvable problems? Huh? Come on, big fella, let's see what you got.
I'd like to go against you and see what you're made of.
You know, you don't look a thing like your pictures.
I'm warning you. You're entering a big error, Flynn. I'm gonna have to put you on the game grid.
Games? You want games? I'll give you games.
Please consider subscribing and don't forget to hit the bell notification button to keep up to date with all my content. And you can follow me on Facebook and Twitter. And until next time, thanks for watching and I'll speak to you guys soon. Thanks a lot.